It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And, of course, the cut brought to you this hour by the good folks at the Doug Smith family of dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and now in Linden as well. Nobody knows cars like Doug. And nobody knows this Utah Hockey Club like Cole Bagley, our Utah Hockey Club insider for KSLSports.com. I went with my fan hat on Saturday night. Official full disclosure, because I went with my kids. One of them was celebrating a birthday early, and so we said, let's do the hockey club thing. They lose to New Jersey, but, man, an awesome atmosphere, and I think that Coach Torney said it best this weekend, Cole, when he said, hey, look, they've been playing phenomenal. We've been playing. I even liked our effort in that loss because that's a really, really good New Jersey Devils team, and this team's playing really, really good hockey. Is it the best hockey they've played all season long?
Yeah, it is. To go 3-1 on the homestand was huge for this team. To pick up 6 points, to only be, 2 points out from a wild card spot. This last week was about as good as it could have gone. Yeah, it would have been nice to pick up, a fourth win either against LA or New Jersey, but those are two really good teams. LA's third in the Pacific right now with 70 points, and New Jersey's third in the Metropolitan with 72. And it just, you're not going to win them all. So for Utah to buckle down, to get as healthy as they've been all year, and to show how good they can be when fully healthy, just kind of speaks volumes to the construction of this roster and the potential this team has moving forward.
Well, the good news, Cole, is that some other teams cooperated and they got some help last night. How did all that shake out, and where do they stand right now?
Yeah, so, a lot of the guys have been saying, look, nobody's going to help us out. But as of right now, they did get some help last night. The Calgary Flames lost in overtime, so they were only able to pick up 1 point. And then the Blues lost in regulation to the Dallas Stars. So, yeah, some much-needed help. As of right now, Calgary is in the second wild card spot with 65. Vancouver's right behind them with 65. St. Louis at 64 and Utah with 63. Now, of course, Utah has a game in hand over St. Louis, but Vancouver and Calgary both have a game in hand over Utah that they'll both play out before Utah plays again on Thursday. So, there will be some work to be done, some ground to be made up. But as of right now, this race is about as tight as it gets, and Utah is right in the middle of it. With the complete full opportunity to seize a playoff spot.
One of the things that we've watched is this team defensively has gotten much more strong, and obviously Sean Durzi coming back is a big part of that. How critical has it been to be able to kind of get that blue line figured out, and not just healthy, but also kind of everybody getting back and gelling again, because that's also part of the equation?
I mean, it's everything. When you look at how they started the year off, losing Durzi 4 games in, having John Marino miss more time than was anticipated, and then a couple other injuries to that as well, and then having to trade for Olli Määttä, kind of as a replacement, an emergency type situation where they just needed some depth and a veteran presence. This team is likely, I think, set in a lot of ways defensively moving forward. Sergachev's your top guy. Durzi's easily your number 2, and very much the heart and soul of the Utah Hockey Club in a lot of ways. John Marino is a 2B, if you will, and so on and so forth. I mean, they just about an hour ago, they extended Olli Määttä to a 3-year contract extension. So they obviously like what they're seeing from him in terms of, his veteran presence, the way that he's so solid and has been able to hold things down for Utah. And then you've got a guy like Michael Kesselring who's coming along nicely as well, in addition to a few prospects like Maverick Lamoureux in the AHL and Dmitry Simashev coming up from the KHL. So this blue line for Utah is very good. I think now that they're healthy, they're right where they want, the organization and front office wanted them to be, and I think they're playing the way that Bill Armstrong hoped when he assembled them.
They're off until Thursday night when they're at the Detroit Red Wings. A little bit of time to rest again, so that's going to help them certainly. But as you look at the schedule, I'm looking at this right now, Cole, and I'm thinking, Boy, these next 6 games, which concludes at Vancouver on Sunday, March 16th, this is not only a crucial stretch that you talk about, but this is a very, very doable stretch as far as gaining ground and getting a lot of wins here. They should win some of these games, if not most of them.
Yeah, over the next 6 games, like you were talking about, 4 of those are very winnable games. Chicago is a dumpster fire. Seattle's still trying to figure things out. Vancouver is very beatable, as Utah demonstrated last week. And Quinn Hughes, their star defenseman, continues to be questionable in his return, and the forwards in Vancouver just cannot score. I think you kind of circle definitely Chicago and Seattle, Vancouver. Anaheim, yeah, they're playing a lot better, but that's a team that Utah can and should beat. So the question marks for me are more so kind of the Detroit and Toronto. Anaheim, maybe if you want to add it, that one could easily go either way. But yeah, it's set up nicely. There's going to be some ground to make up, like I said, with Vancouver and Calgary having games in hand before Utah gets back to action on Thursday. So they may be facing down 4 points to both of those squads. But with a back-to-back on Thursday and Friday against Detroit and Chicago, 4 points very doable. And then facing Vancouver about a week and a half later, that's a must win. You got to go to Vancouver and make sure you're picking up 2 points to really get that 4 point swing over a team that's currently ahead of you.
Some of the most it's an aggressive schedule this week. They've got those 2 back-to-backs or they got the back-to-back that's Thursday, Friday, but also jammed in the middle of that is the trade deadline for the NHL. Do you see this team making some moves? Do you see them getting even more aggressive here as they make a push toward the end of the season right now? Or is it something where they go, look, we like our guys and where we're at, and this is an off-season situation we have to address figuring out the roster and making those moves?
I think it's more of what you just were talking about, that the real moves that I think Utah is going to make would be centered around the off season. When guys like Mikko Rantanen and Mitch Marner become free agents, players, offensive players that could greatly help your team. And, Utah definitely has a deep pocket to be able to pay those players what they're hoping for. And so that's where I would put more of my attention to in terms of, is this team buying or selling? I wouldn't be shocked if we see some smaller deals take place between now and then. Maybe some of those expiring contracts, guys like, Bukestad and Cole or, any of those players. I'm not saying that they're going to, but if anybody was going to get traded, you'd have to think it's one of those, playoff teams looking for some added size, some added veteran presences to help push them over the top in the playoffs. That's the only way that I could really see it. I think if Utah does anything bigger right now, I would say, keep an eye on, the potential extension of Karel Vejmelka. They just extended Olli Määttä today. And Frank Cervalli of the Daily Faceoff was reporting that he's hearing that things are starting to progress with Vejmelka and Utah in terms of an extension, which, in my opinion, is something they need to get done. Vejmelka has been absolutely superb, a top 10 goaltender for most of the year. He held things down when Ingram was out. He's been holding things down over the last week and a half. He's been a huge part of them getting those 3 wins at home. So, it's something that they need to get done. And, according to some reports, things are starting to progress in that direction.
I think we all understand now how Liam O'Brien got his nickname Spicy Tuna. Every time that dude sets out on the ice, he's mixing it up. He's getting into it with some guy, and it is so much fun. We don't see him as much as I think fans would like, but when he is out there, what impact is he having for this team?
He's a pretty smart guy, isn't he? He's not an, overly exceptionally talented guy with the puck on his stick, but what he does excel at is energy. He is nonstop. He has a nonstop motor. He's constantly hitting the forecheck. He's doing his best to create turnovers. He's finishing his checks in a punishing manner, putting guys into the boards with force and at times knocking them over. And then obviously he's willing to drop the gloves at any point with anybody. Doesn't matter time or place. He's willing to do it. And I think what stands out about the game against New Jersey, fighting is all about timing. If you're up by 3 or 4 goals, there's really no point,
right.
To drop the gloves. You don't want to allow the other team to get some momentum. But when they were trailing, New Jersey down by a goal, Utah was pretty flat. They were, not really connected with their passes. They looked a little bit lost, and the Devils were definitely dominating that game early. He decided to drop the gloves, and he won the fight. I can't remember the name of the player that he decided to fight, but that guy stood like 6'4". That's a big dude, and he held his own and was able to hype the crowd. And Delta Center definitely came to life after that. So he's a big energy guy. And I asked Coach Torney, afterwards. I said, how have you seen, Liam O'Brien's game really progressed this season? He said poise, just the way that he holds himself, the way that he's able to make an impact and to know when to make the right, to make certain things happen, to drop his gloves or whatever it is. Obviously, he still hasn't scored a goal yet. Hopefully that takes place at Delta Center, because I think the place would go absolutely bonkers for it. But he's an important player. Every team in the NHL needs a guy like Liam O'Brien.
Important week, obviously, for this team, and hitting the road has actually been something that's been good for them. And so, what is the reality of the next couple of weeks look like for this team? Like, what do they have to do? Is it really just holding their own in games that they're supposed to win, but really getting that Vancouver game? I mean, there's so many things on here, because I know that everybody has expectations like, hey, they're right there on the edge of the playoffs. But, a couple of weeks ago, we were kind of going, hey, hold off on the playoff talk. And now that's changed quite a bit. And so, what's the reality for what this team needs to do over the next couple of weeks to be able to make that push?
Yeah, I mean, historically speaking, and everybody's talked about it, it generally takes about 95 points to make the playoffs. So if you're looking at Utah's, the games they have left, the number of points that they have, they got 21 to go, and to reach 95 points, they would need 32, which means they got to win about 16 of the last 21. Very doable. But I think when you take a step back, of the teams that are pushing for the playoffs, in the West, hoping to get one of those wild cards, you've got 5 teams that are all within about 6 points of each other, and they're all playing each other down the stretch, once or twice. And so I don't know that it's going to take that 95 mark for Utah to do it. Obviously, if they hit 95, that probably would, just about seal the deal and get Utah in. So that would take about 16 games. What I think it's going to more so take is around 88 to 90 points. I think it's so tight. These teams are playing each other, down the stretch quite a bit. There's a lot of back and forth. Nobody's really, standing alone in terms of, running away with the competition. So I think, looking through the rest of this month with, I believe they've got about 12 or 13 games, they probably need to win about half of those. Half of those or more, maybe 6 or 7 of those games to keep themselves in contention. Going into April, they're probably going to have to win, 5 or 6 as well. But if they're able to really go on another, 3-4 game run, I mean, essentially every 5 games, they got to be winning 3 or 4 of those to stay in this hunt. And it's definitely doable. I think I mentioned it before. They have, I believe, the 4th or 5th most most favorable schedule of any teams remaining. So, the lane is open, the opportunity is there, the team is healthy. There is a legit chance for this team to do it, but they're going to have to keep consistently playing, pretty decent hockey and probably winning about 70 to 80% of the games they've got left.
Yeah, I was just looking at the standings the last 3 years in the West. The East, different beast, but it doesn't really apply here, so I didn't really count that. But last year it required 98 points to get in. 2 years ago, 95. 3 years ago, 97. So you're right, Cole. In that range, that average, probably around 95 is what it's going to take. So A lot of work to be done there. He didn't have he didn't explode on Saturday, but Clayton Keller had a great week last week. I just wanted to get your thoughts on what he had accomplished, that run of, I think, about 6 games he had where he was just phenomenal.
Yeah, Keller's playing the best hockey of his career right now. He's on pace to break 90 points for the first time, in his career, which is that's phenomenal. That's more than a point per game, and I think a lot of it is, and I talked with Coach about this as well, is his complete 200-foot game has come a long way. I think he's definitely holding himself to a higher standard now that he officially has the C on his chest. I think he's able to focus more on hockey, this year than he has, especially compared to last season with all the relocation rumors and whatnot. And, this is probably one of the best teams, if not the best team that Keller's ever played with. Guys like Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther, Sean Dursey, Mikhail Sergachev. So he's doing incredible things. What you're seeing is a big part of the reason that he is the captain of the Utah Hockey Club. He's very competitive. He's masterfully creative. You watch the way that he's able to, connect with his teammates on a consistent basis, whether it's direct passes, saucer passes. That to me, I think Keller might be one of the most talented passers in the NHL. He's able to just lift a puck and, with precision, put it on his teammates' tape. So it's been a lot of fun to watch, and it also just kind of speaks volumes to the youthfulness of this team. Their captain is 26 years old and still has not hit has not come quite into his prime yet. So it's an exciting thing for Utah Hockey Club fans to not only have the Gunthers and the Coolies and Josh Doan and so many more prospects, but to have a young captain who is just continuing to get better. He's gonna do some serious things in Utah.
All right. He is our Utah Hockey Club insider. He is Cole Bagley. Cole, we appreciate you joining us as usual, man. Thanks for hanging out, and we're looking forward to this push here and see how this team can do over the next month.
Should be a lot of fun, guys. Thanks so much.
All right,
Thanks,
there you
Cole.
go. Cole Bagley.